Thank you for joining us now as we take a look at the next conversation. Of course, it's countdown to Saturday poll, and as we assess some burning economic issues now, we're being joined by Oladipo Ajayi, head of fixed income Chapel Hill Denham. He joins us virtually. Thank you for joining us, and we appreciate your time.
Yeah, good morning, and thank you very much for having me on this morning.
Okay, so talk to us. I mean, there are fears that if these issues are not properly addressed, of course, it could affect the outcome of the coming election. One is the current cash crunch, rocking the country, and the second one is the issue of fuel scarcity. So what's your stand on some of these fears being raised so far?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think as regard the fuel scarcity, I think one way or the other, normalcy is actually returning back to the streets. We are seeing better flow rather than what we used to see. And based on the report that was released this morning, that we currently have about 1.8 billion liters available. So it means that there should not be any cause for alarm, and in terms of provision of food for the masses. But the main one that is of great concern is the issue of the cash scarcity, and I still maintain my stand on that fact that it's a lofty policy, but I doubt it's well implemented because as we speak now, that is seriously causing havoc on people, and at the same time making life unbearable for businesses. And I'm sure you are aware of what happened in Shagamu yesterday, where the bank was burned to ash. INEC office was actually also attacked and burned, and also electricity. So I think the policy is wrongly implemented, and that's one of the reasons why we are seeing what we're currently seeing. So I think that could actually impact the forthcoming election.
I mean, how do you think we should, the CBN and the government should have approached this particular policy? Yes, everybody has lauded and applauded the CBN for this policy. That, of course, is a good policy. But what approach do you think should have been employed to properly implement this?
Yeah, I think firstly, I think the policy was actually conceived late because if you're it was towards the end of last year that the CBN came up with that decision to actually redesign the currency. So in that aspect, it's already the conception of the policy is already late, and as a result of that, we know that will actually affect the implementation because of the window they have ahead of themselves before the election. So I think what the CBN should have done is that they should have still allowed the window to continue to open. That means continue to allow the old notes and the new notes being actually exchanged simultaneously. But the decision of CBN is that each old note, whenever the old note comes in the combine of the CBN will not allow such funds to actually return back to the circulation. And if we look at it critically, the timeline that was given for people to actually return the money back to the bank is a very short window, because if you know, everything started from December 15 to January 31st before it was further extended by some days again to February 10, and I think that window actually very, 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 very short. So, like for me, I feel that they conceived that policy a bit late, and also the implementation window should have been longer. And another thing I also feel that is actually wrong with the policy is the fact that when actually implementing a policy, it's not only, you look at all the stakeholders involved in the policy. The CBN was only looking at themselves and feels that every other person are also ready, just like they feel that they are ready. And we can see the effect on banks, because we feel that the bank app were just maybe misbehaving throughout those periods, and now you you even transfer money, you will not get value for days. And it tells you that truly we are not ready for this policy now. I'm not saying that it's a bad policy, and I will always say it's one of the best policy that just got the CBN actually brought forward. But I think the implementation of that policy, they need to tweak it so as to be able to achieve the main aim. Because now we are talking about financial inclusion. Now, all those people that the CBN has been trying to educate to actually bring their fund back into the banking system, are you sure they will have trust in the banking system now when they know that people will have money in the bank and you'll not be able to access your money? So we need to look at it as a whole rather than looking at just one aspect of the policy.
Okay. So let's look at the issue that you mentioned earlier. Do you think it's a potential threat to the coming election? You talk about the insecurity. So should this continue? Do you think it's a potential threat? Talking about the issue of insecurity, like the protest and burning of some of these financial institutions or houses.
It's not impossible that it's a potential threat because for me, I just feel that the government needs to quickly do something before the D-Day. Maybe the president needs to come out again and readdress people and also promise. You know, there's a way you coin a statement that can still give hope, but yet what you are trying to do is still what you're doing. But the statement of the president is devoid of hope, and that's one of the reasons why you see that some governors even actually decide to take law into their hands, and at the same time, the people actually have to go on the streets. We look at these people we look at things only from the angle of the airlines. There are people that their day-to-day activity has to do with physical cash. It might not be so much fund movement, but that is where they actually make their living from. And some of those people, immediately the window has been shut, they have been finding it very difficult to actually transact business. And you know one thing, an angry man is an angry man. And if this thing continues, I'm telling you, that can actually affect the forthcoming election if care is not taken.
Let's look at the implication of this now, because I know that the president has given an extension for 200 naira. He made a case for 200 naira, and that will subside till April 10. Would that make any difference at all?
For me, okay, now, before now, most of this fund has been returned back to the confine of the central bank. And that I know, I doubt central bank is actually pushing fund back to the system because if they are, I've not been seeing the effect of that because earlier on when we were talking about the first scarcity, we can all see clearly that it seems that things is getting better and that normalcy is returning back to that segment. But for the banking cash distribution, we are not seeing that impact. People are still finding it very difficult to get access to cash. I don't care whether it's 200 naira or even it's 100 naira, but just ensure that people can actually access their fund. It's not about the denomination, it's about the fact that people can access their fund. And that is the main thing, and that's critical thing as we speak now. So the main issue is that is the CBN actually pushing the 200 naira bills back to the system, because I doubt I've seen any in the recent past.
Okay. Well, I mean, we talked about the issue of availability of fuel scarcity that you talked about earlier. I mean, you said that the NNPC, I saw that story as well. It was in our top stories earlier, where the NNPC said it's about 1.8 billion liters of petrol between now and March. But there are still queues across the nations. They've made the minister for state, for petroleum. The Minister of State for Petroleum, Timmy Presiva, went on tour last week, assuring Nigerians and marketers that this fuel will be made available. But it looks like that reality has not happened. So what is the implication of this? Because we have less than 5 days, 4 days to the election now. But he said he has assured 1.8 billion of liters to be made available.
So for me, if I look at that aspect, I felt that firstly, the main thing is that people are still doing panic buying. A lot of people, nobody wants to take anything for granted as we speak, and as a result of that, that's why you still see people rushing to the first station because. Driving to work, most time I see many fuel stations that barely have people actually queuing to actually buy for those fuel stations, and also it might actually be maybe as a result of the pricing as well. That could also be a factor that why you will see some filling stations a lot of queue and another one is barely empty, and that could be maybe because of the pricing. But for me, I think the flow is getting better because. I've not been finding it very difficult to actually buy compared to the last maybe last months where you have to queue at the filling station for hours before you can able to actually buy. For now, even if you actually go to a filling station, I think that within the next 20-25 minutes you'll be able to actually get to buy. So it's not as bad as what we used to see, and that's why I said that it's getting better compared to what we are seeing in the cash space. And for me, I just feel that based on the statement from NNPC that we have about 1.8 billion liters, and that could also bring respite to the market as well, and like also bring convenience to the market. Like I mentioned earlier, I said that what we are seeing could be panic buying because we do see that a lot when people don't actually have confidence in a particular situation, and that's one of the reasons why you see people maybe you find that just out of your fuel.
Well, I wanted to quickly add that there are two situations here. There are two categories of people, that go to filling stations to buy fuel. So I was, yes. Permit me to quickly, put this in, then you can address them all together. So there are two categories. You talked about the queues that you've seen across the nation. There are two categories of people because of the price disparities. The NNPC and its groups and outlets and major oil marketers sell between 180 to 185 naira. Now the independent, can you hear me? The independent marketers, yes, the independent marketers have their own price as well. They sell between 200 naira to 250 naira per liter. So if you go to NNPC, you probably not see queues as much as you would see, at the independent marketers filling stations as well. So these are two, a category of people and the situation we have at hand. So do you think it's an issue that the NNPC needs to address as well?
Yeah. I think it's an issue that the NNPC needs to address because you have a market where there's disparity of pricing, and as a result of that, some people are actually taking advantage of the market based on the available pricing. I think the NNPC needs to actually wade into the situation and put an end to it because. I don't understand why. One of the reasons why this is still happening is because of the fact that we don't still have enough supply yet. Because if there's enough supply, I doubt anybody will want to go to some of those independent markets where you know that you close to about 20 to 25% above the normal price. So I think
hello, Mr. Oladipo.
The NNPC need to actually wade into this situation.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Oladipo.
And find a way to put an end to this disparity.
Okay. Mr.
Oladipo, just a moment. Just like what you are actually
just a moment. If you can hear me.
They need to actually work on actually.
I'm not sure if Oladipo can hear me, but I just wanted us to, take a break. Let me hold your thought there. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. So let's quickly take a break now. We'll be right back, please. Stay with us. Thank you for joining us now. We still have Oladipo Ajayi, head fixed income at the Chapel of the Hymn. He joins us now. Thank you for your time. We appreciate your time. Please continue on that thought. You were trying to finish with that thought, talking about the need for the NNPC to address that price disparities across the filling stations.
No, like I was saying earlier on, I said one of the reasons why we were at that current situation is because of the scarcity of that product. And when there's scarcity of a product, there's room for rent seeking. And just like what you are seeing in the FX market, where because there's scarcity of products, you tend to see the prices in the official market and the parallel markets are disparity. And that's why I said that one of the things that NNPC can do is that they need to quickly wrap up supply into the market. Immediately wrap up supply into the market, one way or the other, that will actually cushion the effect of the price disparity and finding a way to actually narrow the gap.
Okay, so talk to us about still on that particular one. How they said that they have enough to wet the country between now and March, the coming March as well. So again, we need to also start looking at the way NNPC also distributes this product as well. So the concern now, therefore, is that how do you distribute this product between now and election time, and even in March? Because of course, but from now to March 11, it's a whole lot of activities that the country will be engaged in. I'm not sure if Oladipo can hear me, but I was trying to look at the supply chain, the distribution chain now between the NNPC, the independent oil marketers, and the major oil marketers as well. It's an issue that also has to be addressed, the way it's been distributed, across the nation. So perhaps it's an issue that the NNPC, which has also been described as a sole importer of this commodity, should address going forward. Well, I think we're still having difficulties connecting to Mr. Oladipo there. We'll quickly take another break, and when we return, of course, the conversation continues. Please stay with us. Let's wrap up with Mr. Oladipo Ajayi. We have him on board now. So going forward now, how do you think that, what are the things that we need to expect from the government to start doing to ensure the success of this election with regards to confidence in the economy, and of course also assuring foreign investors as well, before we wrap up?
Yeah, for me, as we speak, foreign investors are not even thinking about our space as we speak, because even if you look at precedents before the election, you tend to see them leaving the market to come back after the election. So as we speak, what the foreign investors are just looking at, they are looking at the credibility of your election to see how you want to enthrone the incoming president. And that is just like what you said, is very, very key, because they want to see whether it's a free and fair election and all those things. And I guess that's one of the reasons why the president on his own part is also trying to actually find a way to minimize the flow of cash, so that that will not actually taint the credibility of the election, which is to some extent that is good. And I remember I mentioned that it's a good policy, but I just feel that the implementation is what they need to actually work on. Another thing that the government also needs to do is to actually work on the security apparatus that are going to be used for the election. Of course, we started seeing the impact of across the states so as to ensure a free and fair election, because people must have confidence that they can actually exercise their fundamental human rights without any bullying from anybody, or without anyone actually disturbing them in actually exercising their fundamental human rights around that. And that's also very key. And also, I feel that the presidency also needs to still come out to actually address the nation, because people are the nation is still boiling on the back of the decision to actually stop the usage of the old notes. And I think the president needs to come out to actually allow the masses to understand the reason behind why they're actually throwing that line, and also give them hope that normalcy will soon return and to the economy around that, and people will still be able to actually access their phone and be able to go about their business within the shortest of time. So I think some of these things are actually mentioned that if it's actually appropriately carried out, people actually, that will help people naturally go to the pool and actually exercise their full fundamental human rights with a view that the right person will emerge.
Okay. All right. I think we need to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Oladipo Ajayi, head of Fixed Income, Chapel Hill Denham Limited. We thank you greatly for sharing your thought with us.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir.
So to come after the break, Brent crude was down 59 cents. That's about 0.5% at $83.57 a barrel on Tuesday. We'll bring you details in a moment. Please stay with us.